Colin's the only one who knows what the hell's going on here.
Colin is he's going to start beeping some things out here.
Just barely for the skin of my teeth.
Colin's like,
Yeah.
oh.
I mean, Colin may barely only know what's going on, but it's a lot more than me.
I'm Arizona Family political editor Dennis Welch.
Dennis, fake news Welch. Try to tell the truth.
And this is the Politics Unplugged podcast.
Dennis, if you have a problem with substance abuse, I am more than willing to talk to you anytime you need.
Welcome back to another edition of the Politics Unplugged podcast. This week, I am very honored to be joined by the Speaker of the House here in Arizona, Steve Montenegro. Thank you very much for joining us here. It's been a busy day. I did want to start off with a casual conversation about how things are going, but here we are in a day where there's actually some news. Governor Hobbs has vetoed the Republican tax bill that you guys sent her this week. It was a bill that you fast-tracked at the start of the week to start the legislative session. It was a $1.1 billion tax savings, I think, for Arizonans over 3 years. You sent it to the governor, and she has rejected it. We just want to get your response.
Well, the first thing I think about is all the hard work that's gone into this, right? I mean, we've got countless of hours that the House and the Senate leadership teams put together, the majority leader. Honestly, the people is what comes to my mind first, because we really were trying to approach this in a responsible way. We have approached it in a responsible way with a lot of wisdom behind it. So we took what she asked for. Remember, she did the executive press release.
She's got her, yeah.
That's what we call it, a press release. Tax law is actually done by law. Mm-hmm. But we took to heart what she said. So, for example, the SALT deduction, right? We knew,
and the SALT deduction is
state and local tax.
Yeah, and that is you can deduct those taxes, certain taxes, off your federal bill, correct?
Correct. So she called it a billionaire's tax. So we removed that, and instead we put in some of the things we've talked about in the past. We increased the dependent deduction for children, for every child, by 25%. Mm-hmm. We included a new deduction for child care. Mm-hmm. This is something she's talked about. We've had these conversations. We want to be responsible. We took, no income tax on tips, no income tax on overtime, things that are for average day Arizonans, for hard workers. We wanted to make sure we impacted helping seniors, $6,000 per individual, $12,000 for a couple kind of thing. So we really went the distance on making sure we maximize the benefit that the federal law, the big, beautiful bill, passed to impact the states. She vetoed it. We put in a lot of time, a lot of effort into this. We prepared a bill. She said, get this to me fast in her state of the state. We did that. The things she wanted, we added. The things she didn't, we took away. So she vetoed this now. So at some point, we also have to govern, right? And we have to understand that filers, Arizonans are going to be filing their taxes here soon. And this creates chaos. And it's par for the course, honestly. Democrats are confused. Accountants are confused. Republicans are confused.
Department of Revenue is confused.
Department of Revenue is confused. I mean, she said she was going to do one thing, and then she instructed them to do something, assuming full conformity. So it's a mess now, but we have to admit it. It's a mess she's creating, and, well, now we need to hear from her.
Her tax proposal was about, on an annual basis, per annum basis, was about half, a little less than half, or more than half of what's you guys propose. She's looking at what, 240 million a year in tax savings. You guys are a little over 400 million. That adds up to that 1.1 billion over 3 years. She also included no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes. It seems like there's a lot of agreement on the two sides. I know you're waiting to hear from her, but when do you think negotiations start? And do you think you can get this done quickly before? I mean, some Arizonans are already filing their taxes now.
That's what's really creating the chaos. Where is her plan, Dennis? I mean, let's be honest. We haven't seen a bill. She has no bill. She has no plan. Mm-hmm. She can't just send us a sticky note saying, here, guys, we're talking about the most complex of tax conformity bills, something that's coming down from the federal government. So it's not like she can just give it in a speech. I want to see this, And we did put a lot of time, like you said, including things she wanted, She's rejected those. Here's what it comes down to. We're trying to maximize the benefits for Arizonans, all Arizonans. If you businesses of all sizes. Why? Because this is our state. We want the maximum benefit from the federal government to come to Arizona. If she just wants half of those benefits for Arizona, well, then she needs to propose a plan that actually just has half of the benefits. And tell moms and dads, by the way, I just want to give you half of those benefits. For what? So that she can shift over tax sum to redistribute wealth. In essence, that's what it boils down to. And we're not going to do that. We want to make sure we're maximizing the benefits for all Arizonans.
And, every politician, every speaker I've ever spoken to, every Senate president, every governor, always likes to say, I'm not going to negotiate this, in the media and in the press and in the public. But I still have to ask the question, and I'm hoping one time maybe someone in your position will want to negotiate this in the press. What in your tax proposal would you be willing to negotiate with the governor with? Or are you pretty dead fast that you want to stick with the plan that you have now?
No, we've put a lot of time into this. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in that plan. I think as people see it more and more, they're going to continue to see that. But we have accountants right now that they know, they're telling us this is chaotic. I mean, she put out a press release saying, this is what I want. And then she told DOR, do this. And now there's chaos. People will start filing their taxes. And if they start filing their taxes today, she's going to have to call them back and say, hey, I want your money back. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of confusion that she's giving us as a state. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is let's hear from her. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's been nowhere the last 6 months. So
yeah, we should be hearing more here relatively quickly, because we're also going to be getting the budget proposal from the governor on how she plans to pay for her tax package. So I'll ask you the question. I mean, how are Republicans proposing to pay for this? Can I ask this in the framework? Revenues don't look exactly rosy this coming year for Arizona. And your forecasts that you've been privy to show that it could be a pretty tough year financially for the state. Is it wise to cut this much from the budget, from government expenses, and what takes the hit? What government services are you cutting to pay for this tax cut?
Well, let's start here. Over the last 5 years, if you look over the last 5 years, revenues have gone up $3.5 billion over the last 5 years to where they are today. Mm-hmm. And we can't tell Arizonans that we should send some of that money back to them. Mm-hmm. Like, at some point, we have to be responsible, and we have to let people keep more of their money, mm-hmm. instead of saying that the government can do better with their money. And so there is a plan. I think what you'll see is, because Republicans have maintained a responsible stance on making sure taxes are low here in the state, mm-hmm. our economy has remained steady. It could be better, but it's remained steady, and we've avoided the disaster that other states are experiencing. I mean, look, right now, the federal deficit this year is going to be $1.7 trillion. Over the last 4 years, the Biden administration went crazy spending, and it was spending that was irresponsible and dramatic. That's what's caused the hyperinflation right now that people are feeling at the pocketbook. So we know the answer is not letting government spend more money. The answer has to be let people keep more of their money and do what they feel is best for their families. So what we're going to see, because of that stability, we're having some numbers released here by JLBC today, our Joint Legislative Budget Committee, and the revenues are better than expected. So we start there. And as I can tell you, as Republicans, we do have a plan. We can pay for this. But it can't be on the backs of Arizonans and taxpayers and small businesses and people that are helping put food on the table.
But what programs out there? I mean, I've known you I've covered you for a long time. I would be shocked if you're like, we're going to be cutting, public safety to help pay for this.
Well, that's part of our majority plan. We're going to promote public safety.
Yeah, exactly. So things do have to get cut to pay for this. Is this education? Is this healthcare? Are these other programs? I mean, what are those programs you're looking at that could take cuts to help fund this?
Look, there is a time and a place for everything. I think every Arizonan, even you,
even me,
listen to what I'm going to say. Even you know that there are areas of government that could be better spent, whether it's waste, fraud, abuse, it's there. I don't think there's one Arizonan that's going to say, nope, everything's perfect.
Sure.
There are areas that can be improved. This is right now, we're not going to go through the list. There's a tremendous amount of conversations that have to be had, but we do have to be better. Responsible governance is what we have to have.
Yeah. Yeah, but when you start talking about waste, fraud, and abuse, I mean, that's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse, $1.1 billion over 3 years. You think there's that kind of waste and abuse in Arizona?
Like I said, we already put together a plan here. A responsible, a wise plan. The bill we just sent up to her, if you go in there, the details are there. We can do this, and we do have a plan. We have ways. We have the revenue numbers that are coming in better, and with other plans put together, we do have a plan that you'll continue to see forward. But look, the reality is, the question before the governor is, how many benefits do you want to maximize for Arizona? Mm-hmm. For Arizonans, we want the maximum amount. We did a full conformity. Give it all back to the people. Mm-hmm. We will find ways to right-size government. Mm-hmm. We want more money in your pocket. She is saying with her veto, actually, she's saying that she is not going to help bartenders out the most. She's not going to help moms and dads with their children the most. She's not going to help seniors. She wants to keep some of those benefits that belong to seniors. She wants to keep with her veto. That's what's happening because we went the full conformity route.
All right. Well, it seems like you guys are pretty, at least you are pretty dug in on this. It doesn't sound like you're willing to negotiate much at all on
Don't
this
say
bill.
that. Don't say that. That's what we're here to have conversations. Okay. We're here to work together. Arizona's always going to be okay. Look, Arizona always produces responsible budgets. Our Constitution says that we cannot go into debt. We have to have a balanced budget every year. And every year Arizona does that. And so we want to be responsible, but we also need to show leadership, Dennis. Mm-hmm. We can't just send a sticky note and say, this is what I want. I mean, the governor needs to show leadership here. And what we're trying to say is that we just don't want to tax people to get out of government debt. That's not fair to the average Arizonan, mom and dad, family, small business owner.
All right. Well, let's move on from there. Let's talk a little bit about the session started this week. It's your second session as Speaker?
It will be, yes.
All right. And
it
you're
is.
Your first Hispanic Speaker of the House in Arizona, if I'm correct.
In all sincerity, I didn't know until they pointed that out to me. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, man.
My first question is, just kind of big picture. I think Andrew put out some session stats yesterday. It's like 650 some bills that were introduced in the House last year, but this year it's like 900 bills. Maybe I'm thinking that's got to be a record for the number of bills that have been introduced so far. What the hell's going on down there? Why do we need so much legislation?
There's a record number of bills that want to cut taxes.
Are there 900 taxes even? No, but what's going on? That is a lot of legislation.
Of course, there's a process. Those bills have to be vetted. You know that it's a fraction that makes it through.
All right, yeah.
But just remember that these are members that are bringing forth the voice of the people. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a lot of bills. We're giving ourselves, in essence, more work to do. So, but at the same time, we at least have to respect that these are individuals that have been sent by the people in their communities to address certain things. Mm-hmm. And they're being the voice of their people. So we have to let members be members.
Yeah, and so given that, let's just kind of go over what you see as the priorities coming out of the House for Republicans this year, what you're hoping to accomplish beyond the tax legislation we just spoke about. What other issues you guys looking at doing?
Well, look, in all, sincerity, we need responsible governance. Right now we have these economic times are real. And like I said before, Arizona has managed to place itself, we've managed to be part of that, where we put Arizona on a stable ground, whether it's our economy, whether it's our policy that it deals with the interactions of what we do in the state. But we want to continue to have responsible governance. One of the things I've kind of said is make the House boring again, right? Let's stabilize this place. Let's be the voice of the people, but let's govern responsibly. So we've talked about different issues. Like you started off, obviously the 800-pound gorilla in the room is conformity, the budget. We have a plan. And I always come back to this. We have a guiding path that we set for ourselves as a Republican House back when we started this term. We want to focus on preserving the American dream, anything and everything that has to do with stabilizing the economy, having a sound economy so that every Arizonan has the opportunity to prosper. Mm-hmm. Sound budgets, sound tax policy, sound economic environment. Number 2, promoting public safety. We want safe communities. We want to make sure that we're focusing on legislation that's going to allow law enforcement to have the tools they need, law enforcement to do what they need to keep us safe. Our kids should be able to play in the front yards, not just their backyards. We want safe communities, safe neighborhoods. And number 3, protecting individual rights and liberties. We're going to focus on legislation that's protecting you are an American. You have rights intrinsic to you just because you're a child of God and you're an American and you're an Arizonan. And we want to make sure that we're protecting those rights and not allowing the heavy hand of government to be the one that determines your destiny. You should determine your destiny. You should have the opportunity to prosper. And those are the 3 areas that our plan focuses on, and our members are keyed in. I am so honored to be the speaker of the entire House of Representatives. I speak for the Republican caucus. We have amazing individuals. There's passion there, there's fieriness, but it's all because we want to make sure we're preserving those ideals that we set out to as well. So it's an honor, great individuals, and those are the areas you're going to see us focus on.
And over my time covering the legislature, like speakers, Senate presidents, they don't introduce a lot of legislation. They introduce some. And I ran across a couple of bills you recently filed. One of them was a pretty short bill just expressing support for the Electoral College. Like, why'd you pick that as an issue for a bill that you wanted to put your name on? I'm just kind of curious as to that.
So I'm a Federalist. I love the concept of a republic, the United States of America, the history, what makes us the greatest country on earth. Just kind of like the philosophy of what has made us different throughout ages and history. And one of those things is that we have a sound system of government. And when you start looking at these areas, the states are the most important power in the Constitution. It's not the federal government. Mm-hmm. We are not a centralized power out of Washington, D.C. There's a reason the Constitution is written the way it is, and the powers belong to the states, right, to the people. And so for me, there's the beauty about the Electoral College is that it reminds us and it keeps in place that the president, he is the president for the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And there is a balance of power that's there between the state and the federal government. And we have to keep it that way. And so those are small things that I think are very important for us to survive as a republic and to maintain the power of the people through the states. That's one of them. And so I keep bringing it up as kind of like a reminder, something that we want to continue to focus on constantly.
Well, and some people, I just to push back on that, some people say that would argue that the Electoral College is not very democratic because you can win the Electoral College and lose the popular vote nationwide. What do you say to that?
Well, look, history, if we look at the approach that best gives us liberty, freedom, and as Americans we enjoy, it's one where we protect a Republican, and by Republican I mean a republic, not partisan, a republic form of government, a representative democracy, a representative republic. And so if we look at the history, if we look at the examples of history where it has been direct democracy, which means popular democracy, you'll see actually that the 51% end up eating the 49%. The 51% decide what the rights of the 49% are. In fact, the 99% end up determining that, what flavor they're going to give to the 1% when they eat them, right? In essence. And so we are a republic that defends and protects the rights of the individual, the 1%. And we have to maintain that Republican form of government in order to make sure that we don't have a mob rule or a direct democracy, which again ends up deteriorating the individual rights.
All right. Well, let's get down to brass tacks now that we've gotten through those light issues. Let's talk a little bit about the speaker himself. What the hell do you do to unwind?
You know,
Do you have any hobbies?
I do. I have hobbies. I don't have time, but I have hobbies.
You don't look like a guy who has hobbies.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a passion for what I do. I'll give you some of my hobbies, but I actually enjoy this. I mean, think about it. A kid like myself, I'm not a kid anymore, but a guy like me with my story, I come from I was born in the smallest country in the Americas. I can enjoy now helping maintain liberty in a constitutional republic. And I really love this. Growing up, my desire, my passion was law and justice, right? How do you keep that? Because without the rule of law, other countries don't enjoy the freedoms we do. So to be a part of this, to be able to wake up every morning and do something you love. I have a friend that taught me 4 things. He says, you want to be happy, remember 4 things. He said, number 1, everything in moderation. Number 2, he says, always plan something the next morning that you're excited to get up and go do. Number 3, he would say, hang out with people younger than you. The excitement keeps going. And the 4th one, he says, pray that you got good genes, because you can't do anything about that. So
I would also add, never be the last one to leave a party.
Hey, that's a good one. That's a good one. My wife reminds me of that all the time. No, I genuinely think that I'm blessed to do what I do. It's exciting for me. It's fun. But I also like to go home. I hang out with my girls. My wife and I have our 13-year-old Addie. She loves volleyball. And
13 already.
She's 13, Dennis.
Yeah.
It goes by. She's starting high school next year, so next August. So, but I go home and I get to listen to the stories of what kids are doing, what they're saying, the new words that are out right now. She's embarrassed every time I try to say different things. You know, don't bring up the 6'7" because she just rolls her eyes. And
oh yeah, because as soon as Dad hears about a 6'7", it's already dead. Anymore. It's already
exactly.
dead. So what is the hobby for the speaker? What's the speaker do? And I mean, I don't see you doing golf.
I love golf.
Really?
I love golf.
Oh,
I don't get time to do it, but I love golf.
Oh God, I hate golf.
You look like the guy who hates golf.
It looks like a very expensive.
It is, which is why I don't get to do it as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
I love golf. I love art.
Okay.
I love reading.
Okay.
Honestly, I love sports. I can't throw a baseball as well as I did when I was in high school, but I love being out there. I love soccer. Yeah. Honestly, I love hanging out. To me, sitting around with your friends and just, having a nice beverage and just shooting it, I love it. I think that's good. Hobbies sometimes are the time you spend, right? So,
yeah. I mean, I love a good beverage with the ball game. Beer or wine? Which one? If you had to pick.
I think a nice glass of wine sometimes is good.
Okay.
But I enjoy, I have with my friends, they'll say, hey, Steve, you got to try this beer. Oh, sometimes they have a point.
Yeah, no, I'm a beer guy myself. Grew up on the stuff, you might say. Does that sound terrible?
No, I didn't have a drink until I was like 34, 35 years old.
Oh,
so
wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Why'd you break the streak?
No, I don't do it often.
No,
it's social. It's just, sometimes I've been told you can't trust somebody that can't have a drink. So sometimes
there you go. I'm not a beer snob. There's some good local breweries that make some good stuff, but I'm like not like one of those IPA guys. I hated that trend. Like, you got to try this IPA. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't. Like grandma, my grandma was about cheap American domestic beer, man. What was ever on sale. So I still to this day, man, you go to my house, you'll see you will see a 6-pack of hams in there. It's refreshing.
I'm not a big drinker, but I'll tell you that, I think the moment is when you sit down and you're enjoying that moment with somebody. Like my wife and I have had the greatest of conversations just sitting down and having a conversation, or when you sit down with your friend in the backyard and just have a chat. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah, it really is. And what do you do? What do you do to unwind after one of the long days down
Music.
There you go. Let's talk about that.
I love music. I I didn't know you could be addicted to music. Again, I don't get enough time to do the things I like, but music, I told you I love art. Music is the same way, all kinds of music.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been listening to a lot more jazz lately. Does that sound pretentious?
No.
Colin, does that sound pretentious?
Only if Dennis says it.
No, yeah. Yes.
Because it can sound
that's
kind
a
of
valid point.
It kind of sound kind of pretentious, like, oh, listen to jazz. I'm not a connoisseur, but I've been listening to more because it chills me out at night.
I think you have your beer listening to NPR with jazz in the background.
That's a sad state. It just means listening to fresh air by myself with my dog Joan. It's depressing. Me and my NPR moment.
Don't be offended out there. I actually think that sounds pretty cool once in a while.
And all right, let's leave with this. You love sports. Do you have any predictions? Do you have for the Suns? Are they going to make the playoffs as a legit playoff team? Or are they going to be a play-in team?
Of course they are. No, they're an awesome. Look, I'm a hometown guy. The Suns, the D-backs, the Cardinals. Come on, how could you not love the Cardinals?
I can give you 100 reasons why you don't have to love the Cardinals. No. And I'm a Cardinal fan. It is hard to love the Cardinals because you know why? The Cardinals don't love you back.
Well, no, that's not true. You got to appreciate.
They don't love you back, man.
No, this is about building. I see what they're doing. I see the vision. They're working hard. And we just got to get behind it early. We got to show them our support. Oh, man. I love it. Come on.
I moved out here the same year they moved out here, and I've watched them every year since. And
they leave it out on the field. And here's the thing:
the practice field.
Sports is about winning, 100%. We got to win. We want that. But we also have to appreciate what they give us.
Yeah,
the performance. They leave it on the field. They give us the ups and downs, and sometimes we need that. That distraction is what we need.
Oh, of course. That's why I've been watching a lot more baseball the past few years, because the great thing about baseball is every day it's on. Like every single day it's on. And if you need that distraction, it's like turn on a baseball game and chill out.
You know, what breaks my heart more was the fantasy football, man. I get so close. I won one championship. I
really?
Get so close. And then I fall short there. And
you play fantasy? That's interesting. I don't have the time or the patience for it.
Look, it's about the data. I had a friend who taught me you can't get married to, you can't fall in love just with one set of team or a name or something like that. When it comes to fantasy, it's about the data. It's how you manage, and it's how you go out and recruit, how you take the risk. And
so do you take running backs first or quarterbacks?
Running backs.
Okay, that's the traditional kind of like what I hear from all my fantasy friends is like, hey, you got to get the guy who just scores the touchdown.
I mean, you got to take a look at this. Towards the end, you had Lawrence go for like 40, 50 points in the last 3-4 games. I mean, you can pick up a good quarterback later on, but you got to go with the running backs early on too.
All right, man. I think we should wrap up right around now. We're at the half-hour mark already.
Are you saying you're bored?
No, we got time constraints here. This has been very entertaining. I've learned that you like wine over beer. You're a fantasy sports nerd. That's cool.
Don't forget a nice glass of bourbon too. You didn't ask me about that, but
the bourbon. All right. You got to be upset about the tariffs then. They're closing down Jim Beam.
Let's stick to Arizona.
I think we'll end right there. Thanks a lot. Speaker, thank you very much for coming down here. And welcome back to the second half of the podcast. As always, Colin Stanton. Colin, how the hell are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. What'd you think? It was nice of the speaker to stop by here.
Great of him to stop by. Good talk.
Yeah, it was a good chat. It's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about him personally. I was surprised that he loves golf and fantasy football. Yeah.
I think we've hit the point where fantasy football is like ubiquitous, like almost everyone does, except you.
Yeah. I'm like, I love football, but I don't do fantasy.
Yeah, I do fantasy. I have 3 leagues. There's one I care about. The other 2 I've been in for a while, so I'm still in them each year, and I'm not sure why.
That's interesting.
But I mean, we have a newsroom fantasy league that's big enough that it's split into 2 conferences.
Oh boy,
because we have like 30 people in it. or at least 24.
Yeah.
They're big.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing. It's like I'm just not into the gambling on that stuff. And
Yeah,
it's kind of gambling, but it's not. I get it.
It's sort of technically, but no one's in it for the money.
Yeah, which is weird for me because, you get me to an off-track betting site, man. I love putting money down on the ponies.
Yeah, I enjoy that. It's a different thing.
Yeah,
there's in some leagues, there's like the league I care about, there's some money involved. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
The other two, there isn't. It's just a pride thing.
Yeah. Before we talk about, is that what I think it is over there?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Oh God, we're gonna have to talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Yes, it is a lawsuit filed in Moore County, North Carolina. Yeah.
About a former senator of ours.
Yes.
But we'll be talking about that in a minute. Let's talk a little bit about another banger of a week. I mean, we could probably talk the rest of the pod just about the session here in Arizona, and about opening week and all this other stuff. But I think this week has been really interesting on the federal level because you're starting to see at least one prominent Republican who claims there's other Republicans in the House that would potentially impeach President Trump over if he was to invade or take Greenland by force.
Yeah.
That's Don Bacon from Nebraska, I believe.
I've never heard of Don Bacon from Nebraska.
I think he's one of those guys that's like almost like the Massies of the world. He's starting to become kind of like somebody who's a Republican who's pushing back. He's kind of part of that crew.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you wonder where the line is for people to say, okay, that's too far, because certainly Trump seems to be seeing how much he can get away with.
You've got thousands of ICE agents that look like. You can't say they don't look like military out there because they do.
They do.
And you've got thousands
hiding
of
their
them
faces and throwing grenades at,
and shooting
stun
people.
grenades at families coming back from basketball practice.
Yeah, that's not the red line. Greenland.
That's not the red line. Greenland is
the red line.
To be fair, there is a way for people for whom immigration is a big deal, to say, well, the ICE thing is needed.
Okay.
I'm not that person, but there are people who will try and make the arguments and will downplay the activities and all that. There is no rationalization whatsoever by anyone for going after Greenland. It's pure silliness and fantasy, and not something supported by anyone with any vague understanding of the situation there, except for the President of the United States of America.
I mean, the president keeps saying that you need Greenland for security purposes, but Greenland is part of Denmark.
Yeah.
Denmark is part of NATO.
Yes,
we have a military base there already.
Yes.
And Greenland has always said, like, if you, whatever you want, you need more bases there, like, we have them.
Yeah.
You want access to our, minerals, like, let's work out a deal. They don't want to, be, annexed by America.
No. There's absolutely no reason at all for America to annex them. Mm-hmm. There's none. It's one of those things where I keep coming back to stuff like this, and I think, who on earth would benefit from this? We don't benefit from that. All it does is destroy our relationship with the rest of NATO and with Europe. And you realize, oh, that's right, Putin would benefit from this.
And it was interesting too, because on the TV show, Marcus said he or his wife, there was a Danish, almost like ad that popped up in her social media feeds. Yeah. I haven't seen this, so I can't vouch for it personally, but I trust that they're telling us the truth, that they saw this ad that's basically, Denmark saying we're shocked and we're upset and we don't understand what's going on. We thought we were friends with the United States. Why do you want to take Greenland?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the long-term damage we're doing is astounding.
It truly, without words. I mean, and it's always it seems like everything, like, it starts as a joke.
Yeah.
And then
it keeps going.
And then people get upset, and then the president's supporters are like, "Ha, look at how we triggered them."
Yeah.
We
triggered the liberals by invading an ally.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we triggered them, and clearly he was just joking. And then whenever the joke becomes reality, then the people who are saying, he was just joking, will then say, well, we've known we've needed to do this all along.
Yeah.
It's like it's a pattern.
If there's one thing we've learned over these years, is Trump doesn't joke about stuff. He'll throw stuff out he has no intention of doing.
Just to see what the reaction is, though. I think to kind of gauge it.
And frequently to reach out to people who don't support him.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll throw out ideas on programs that are not thought through, that sound like they're helpful for the average person, and invariably it's something that's not going to happen. The 10% cap on credit cards, on credit card debt. On credit card interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen. He threw out we need to stop corporate ownership of homes. Do you believe Donald Trump is going to follow through on that and crack down on the big corporations to help out?
No. I mean, no. And the reason why he's going to have a hard time with that, because I mean, again, there are constitutional issues. Are you going to start? We've heard this from Democrats all along, and so I think barring corporations from doing that would be very difficult. But on that issue, he's talking the people's language. I think a lot of people were frustrated with housing costs and stuff like that.
Right. So he will, and exactly, he's talking their language. He's throwing out something they will support. I don't believe it's something he will follow through on.
Yeah.
Greenland, who knows? He may follow through on that. The president of peace, the guy who's furious he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. The guy
was that the cringiest thing?
The thing with the woman giving him her prize?
Yes.
Yeah, yes, it was. It was cringy and sad.
I haven't checked his Wikipedia page yet, though. But do you think how long until he is on his wiki page he quote received the Nobel Prize?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a plaque somewhere in the White House celebrating it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy who wants the Peace Prize so desperately and is talking about how he's ended wars is now on the verge of war in Venezuela and Greenland and Minneapolis.
Yeah.
With promises that, don't worry, we're going to expand this to Chicago and Los Angeles too.
Yeah, I mean, again, man, another banger per week. I mean, he's talking about invoking the Insurrection Act.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a very old law.
And not for nothing, but this is something I've been thinking about for a while since he keeps threatening these sorts of things. The military is very celebrated in the United States. People in the military are very thankful for the military. They celebrate the military. You go to a baseball game, and at some point they're going to ask all the veterans to stand up and wave so we can all give them a big round of applause.
Mm-hmm.
What is going to be the public view of the military when the military's key role is to go in and knock some heads around in cities that did not vote for the president?
Well, they follow the orders. I mean, there's a lot of questions there. I mean, I do know, the Insurrection Act. I don't know how many times it's been invoked. I'm not familiar with the 19th century, but the second half of the 20th century, I mean, it was it was invoked where the LA riots, when there was a lot of damage and people being hurt, and local police were overwhelmed, and the governor of that state requested help.
Yeah.
There were riots in the 60s, and I think in Detroit, where again the governor requested help.
Yeah.
And then I believe in Selma, Alabama, the Insurrection Act was invoked because the governor there was disobeying civil rights legislation that was passed by Congress. In most of the cases, when this stuff is invoked, it's the governor, local officials who are asking for this help. The mayor of Minneapolis, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, is clearly not.
Yeah.
They don't want ICE there.
No, this is clearly a situation of the federal government sending ICE in so they can create the riots that would lead them the ability to claim the Insurrection Act when they send in the military.
Yeah. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
God, tackle this damn thing.
So for those who are unfamiliar, our former senator, the Honorable Kyrsten Sinema,
who refuses to exit the stage.
yeah, is being sued by the former wife of her head of security. In the state of North Carolina, it's been bumped to a federal court, I believe.
Yes.
But
I believe at the request of Sinema's lawyer.
North Carolina is one of the relatively few states, from my understanding, that basically has a homewrecker law.
Oh, yeah.
You can go after someone who is not your spouse for breaking up your marriage. And so the wife of her head of security is suing Kyrsten Sinema for having an affair with her husband.
Seeking $25,000
well,
in damage.
In excess of $25,000, so I assume that's a legal threshold for something.
Okay.
I'm not a lawyer, but it's an odd number, so that tells me anything over $25,000 goes into a certain court or has certain. I'm sure that number was picked because of a legal threshold. Somewhere.
Okay.
So I've got the complaint here. So as we go through the complaint, plaintiff is the wife, the aggrieved wife. Defendant would be the Honorable Kyrsten Sinema, former senator from the state of Arizona.
And should we also warn some of our listeners who may be sensitive to to some of the...
You do what you want to do, man. Do what you want to do. Mr. Amel is the bodyguard.
The bodyguard.
Bodyguard, the head of security, and later part of the staff, but we'll get to that. So the head of, in the fall of 2023, Sinema's head of security resigned. So I'm quoting from the paperwork.
Well, this is one of the details I did not get into my TV package.
Okay. And to back up a little, to be fair to Sinema, I guess, this is all from the wife's point of view, and the wife is specifically targeting Sinema in this lawsuit. So in all of this, Sinema comes across as the bad person, and the husband almost comes across sort of as a victim here and there. So it is worth the reminder that this is a lawsuit that is attempting to entirely blame Sinema for having the affair.
And we have still not heard from her or her attorney their side of the story.
Correct.
As I spoke to an attorney yesterday, said that he would never want to bet everything he has purely on the opinion of a spurned ex-spouse.
Right. And through the course of the paperwork, the husband is portrayed largely as a victim of his boss having this relationship that he doesn't want until the point where he leaves to go be with Sinema.
Yeah.
and
it's terrible. It's terrible. I'm gone.
Which perhaps one might view as a suggestion that he was more into this than the lawsuit would imply up until that. Having said all that, so it's fall of 2023. The head of security has just resigned. Quote, prior to leaving, defendant's head of security expressed to Mr. Amel she had concerns defendant was having sexual relations with other security members. She encouraged Mr. Amel to leave with her, but Mr. Amel decided to stay due to the financial security of the job. So,
again, if you're trying to portray him as somewhat of a victim here, he had an opportunity to leave and didn't go.
And, decided to stay due to the financial security of the job. I get that.
Yeah.
It's not always easy. And his background, he had been military. He had suffered from PTSD, still suffers from the effects of PTSD. So that's a absolutely understandable explanation. But it's a little concerning when the head of security leaves and tells her potential replacement, hey, man, she's sleeping with the security people. You might not want to do this.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Consider all of this allegedly because it's part of the lawsuit. We're reading the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
So defendant, who again is Kyrsten Sinema, socialized with Mr. Amel and his wife, who is plaintiff throughout all of this, took them to Las Vegas to see U2 at the Sphere. And then after
this is crazy.
After the concert was over, Cindy McCain was there as in her role as executive director of the World Food Program. U2's into that sort of thing. They were part of this. At some point, they all end up in the McCain suite. Quote, defendant offered plaintiff a glass of Dom Perignon and stated to plaintiff, did you ever think you would be drinking Dom Perignon in Cindy McCain's suite? There was a lot of texting or messaging on Signal going back and forth.
Is this where we get to the quote or the quote of the entire lawsuit?
I'm not sure which one is the quote. Probably, yeah.
Okay.
We've got a lot highlighted through this.
There's a whole
they would
bunch
use
there.
Signal to the husband, and Sinema would use Signal a lot to send messages to each other, and frequently the wife would see them. So plaintiff discovered messages which included a picture of defendant wrapped in a towel. Mr. Amel stated to defendant, so Sinema, he was intimidated by her, and defendant asked why, because she only wants to be intimidating to her opponents, not to people she likes. Defendant suggested for Mr. Amel to bring MDMA drugs on a work trip so that she could guide him through a psychedelic experience.
as senators are wont to do.
Yes. Yeah, the senator wanted to bring some MDMA so she could guide him through a psychedelic experience. Mr. Amel asked why she wasn't attending the State of the Union that year.
Oh, this is a banger of a quote here.
Defendant stated that she didn't need to listen to some old man, President Biden, talk about the legislation that she wrote.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So he went to a baseball game by himself. Mr. Amel attended a baseball game by himself, but messaged defendant during the game, stating that he was going to start a, quote, fuck the troops chant. Defendant responded that she would, quote, fuck the hot ones, unquote. Defendant and Mr. Amel messaged about having sex missionary style with the lights on.
Hold on. I've got to be emotionally prepared for this one because this was one of those I was reading yesterday. I was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Defendant and Mr. Amel messaged about having sex missionary style with the lights on, and defendant stated, quote, boring, unquote. In March 2024, defendant requested Mr. Amel serve as her security at the Extra Innings Festival in Phoenix, Arizona. It's actually in Tempe. Mr. Amel acknowledged to plaintiff that defendant was handsy with him at this event. Handsy. My wife once accused me of being handsy with the wax Jessica Simpson at the Madame Tussauds in Vegas. I denied the allegation.
I would like to point out to our listeners and our viewers, we're not really saying much extra. We're just reading
quotes.
We're just reading.
This is all in the lawsuit filed in the General Court of Justice, Superior Court Division, file number, yada yada yada. State of North Carolina, County of Moore.
And I would like to point out, we read this stuff so the public doesn't have to.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Defendant purchased a Theragun for Mr. Amel and messaged him to bring it over to her apartment so she could work on his back.
Yeah.
Around May or June 2024, Mr. Amel stopped wearing his wedding ring. Mr. Amel stated it was for public optics so he wouldn't look like defendant was putting her hands on a married man when they were out at concerts and various other public events.
Yeah, you don't want to give off the wrong vibe.
No. When you're putting your hands on a married man, you don't want to make it look like you're putting your hands on a married man.
Too bad they didn't go to a Coldplay concert.
Yes. We should note this next line is why suddenly it became acceptable for everyone to do this story.
At least for us.
That same month, defendant offered Mr. Amel a salary position and placed him on her Senate staff as a defense and national security fellow. At which point this jumps from purely tabloid to, hey, he's on the payroll. He's on the federal payroll.
Yeah, who funds the payroll? Oh, the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're paying for this now. Earlier, I believe his salary would have been paid in campaign
cash.
Yeah. Now he's on the government payroll. Around that same time, plaintiff discovered more messages between defendant and Mr. Amel. Defendant expressed to Mr. Amel that she keeps waking up during her sleep and reaching over for his arms to hold her.
Well, oh God, lovelorn senator.
Yeah. In October 2024, soon after Mr. Amel returned home to Moore County, North Carolina, after being away with defendant on another work trip, defendant messaged Mr. Amel stating, quote, "I miss you, putting my hand on your heart. I'll see you soon." Plaintiff responded to the message stating, "Are you having an affair with my husband? You took a married man away from his family." I believe that's it for the rest of it. It's an unusual lawsuit to read because so much of it is spent establishing things that happen in North Carolina to people who live in North Carolina because it's the law is in North Carolina.
Yeah, it's like some homewrecker law. I mean, that seems like some antiquated freaking laws, man.
And I'm no expert on this stuff. That doesn't seem like something that still exists in many.
I'm not a legal expert.
States.
You're not a legal expert. That hasn't stopped us from playing legal expert in the past. But no, it just seems like really an antiquated, outdated law. But like here we are.
But it led to this, so God bless it.
Yeah, God, how embarrassing for her. I would imagine
for Sinema,
and
I don't know.
I don't know if she's gone from politics. I don't know if anybody's going to want to chase after her about the Senate ethics rules and laws and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I suspect there's nothing coming there.
No, but I just wish Sinema would move on and we would be able to move on and these things wouldn't keep popping up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the lobbying for the data centers just seemed like the final, the final act of the colossal heel turn that has taken place there.
She's had a bad few months, man.
I mean, it depends on your point of view, I guess. To those who once voted for her and viewed her as someone they were proud to send to Washington, yeah, she's had a few bad months.
Yeah.
For her, I don't know what's going on in that head. No. I don't know. She has gone from being is she too far left, crazy liberal to possibly send to Washington? Can you possibly vote for someone who's that far left? To if you guys don't let us build this data center, Trump's coming after you.
I know. And don't forget the curtsying with the thumbs down.
The curtsying with the thumbs down that her staff at the time insisted was not a curtsy, despite it being a curtsy.
It was one of the top 5 dumbest arguments I've ever had in a newsroom.
Yeah.
It was a curtsy.
It was a curtsy.
On that note.
And if you don't want people to talk about what you're wearing as a U.S. Senator.
That was the fucking worst. That was the worst. She'd wear something like really loud and outrageous, and then
post herself on social media to make sure everyone saw what she was wearing.
Yeah, and then it was sexist if you commented on it.
Yeah,
like I'm sorry, but if Mark Kelly shows up with a purple zoot suit on the Senate floor,
wearing a ring that says "fuck you" on it, and posing with her hand up with his hand up. If someone comments on Mark Kelly's ring, I think it's probably fair game.
That's fair game.
Anyway.
Dear God. Folks, I've had enough of that lawsuit. I hope I never see it again.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed it. We didn't. Maybe.
Yeah, we enjoyed it a little.
Or maybe a little bit.
Parts of it.
I mean, we did discuss maybe having actors come in and do some dramatic readings, but we figured that's a little bit too much.
A little over the top.
Little over the top.
Yeah. All right.
All right, you want to end it there?
Let's end it there.
All right, man.
Have a great
See you next week.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, the Google Store, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. See you next time.